Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help, and I am your host, Tom Grossi, and here we are with another mock draft version 2.0. So I went through, I revitalized my last mock draft, I moved some things around, and obviously it's a little outdated considering teams traded up, traded down, traded out of the first round. And so with that being said, here is your mock draft 2.0. Now, for the number one pick, you can see analysts have gone back and forth on this between Allen and Darnold. I'm going to stick with my original pick. I know Allen has the better arm, but I think Darnold is more NFL ready. And so with that, I think with the first pick, the Cleveland Browns will pick Sam Darnold, and he will be able to be, if not an immediate starter, he can sit behind Tyrod Taylor, but I would be shocked if he didn't start at least halfway through the season. With the number two pick, the guy who was not picked number one, I'm going to go with the Giants. Are going to pick the quarterback Josh Allen because Eli Manning is sitting at 37, is obviously starting to decline. I mean, that also doesn't help that he doesn't have an offensive line. But I just don't see, there was talks about potentially picking up Barkley here with the Giants, and I just don't see them passing on a quarterback because I don't know the next time that they're going to be at the number two pick. So I see the Giants going QB here. The Jets, obviously they will be content with whatever quarterback is left out of the first two. There's talks of potentially getting Baker Mayfield, but I think they're going to stick with Josh Rosen as QB, and he can sit behind Teddy Bridgewater, and he can go and, kind of get prepared. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did pull a little switcherooty and pick Baker Mayfield. Number four, the Browns get the number one QB, and they also get the number one running back, Saquon Barkley. This has been mocked to death. I mocked this in the last draft. The Browns fans, you have to be thrilled right now that you are getting a QB and the best running back in the class, just like a 1-2 punch. And so you might have an example of a Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott rookie season action, and hopefully you'll at least win one game out of that. Number five, the Broncos. This is a tricky one. I am not convinced that they are out of the quarterback race. And so with that being said, I would not be surprised if Elway went with Baker Mayfield here, the quarterback, picking him up. I think it just makes way too much sense. And again, sitting at number five, I don't know when the Broncos are going to be up here again. I know the next QB classes are not really looking so great, so I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up Mayfield. Number six, the Colts are going to get Bradley Chubb. Again, defensive end, nothing shocker there. He's the best player available on the board. Number seven, the Buccaneers will go with Minkah Fitzpatrick. That didn't change from my last one, the defensive back, the best defensive back on the board. The Bears, this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. I see the Bears going offensive line here, and I had them picking defense. They might go with Denzel Ward, but I just feel like they want to protect Trubisky and allow him to really flourish, and in order to do so, they need an offensive line. So I think they're going to go with Quentin Nelson, who's the best offensive lineman in the draft, and so they'll be able to protect their franchise quarterback. With that being said, number nine with the 49ers, they will pick, this pains me to say, and there's potential that he can fall down or that, the Bills could trade up. But I see Denzel Ward going here, the best cornerback in the draft, which pains me because he's so close yet so far to the Packers. Number 10, the Raiders. I'm going to go with Vita Vea here, the nose tackle. And the reason why I switched this is because after the Raiders were going to pick up Ndamukong Suh, they obviously pulled out of it when they found out that Suh was just kind of using them a bit. So I think they're going to need a big nose tackle here that can go with Khalil Mack and just make that defensive line awfully scary. And so I see them going with Vea here. The Dolphins, there have been rumors about them potentially moving on from Ryan Tannehill. I just don't see it happening just yet. And so I think they're going to go linebacker here and get Tremaine Edmonds and pick him up. And he's very raw as a player, but the kid can play. And I think he's going to have a great NFL future, and it'll really stiffen up that Dolphins defense. The Bills. The Bills are the wild card here in that they may trade up to get a quarterback. But right now with this mock draft, I had this in the last mock draft too. I think they're going quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson is a great fit for them. I think it's a younger, faster, Tyrod Taylor. It's somebody that could fit the Bills' scheme. And so, with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded up, if they traded with the Broncos, or traded somewhere into the top 10 to make this deal happen if they start getting a little weary that their quarterback is not going to be there. So yeah, I saying Lamar Jackson. Number 13, the Redskins, to shore up that defense. I see them picking Roquan Smith, the linebacker. Him and Edmonds are arguably the best two linebackers in the class. And I also wouldn't be surprised if they picked Derwin James here. It could go either way. But that being said, that leaves the Packers at number 14. And I am so struggling with this pick. If this plans out this way, I think if Derwin James is still on the board as a safety, I think they just have to go with him. They might also pick an edge rusher. They may pick a guy like Marcus Davenport. You might go with Mike Hughes or Josh Jackson here. But just based off of this mock and how I see things falling out, if Derwin James is on the board, he's the best player available. He will definitely add some intensity to that secondary. I see them picking up Derwin James. The Cardinals at number 15, they need offensive line help. While I wouldn't be surprised if they pick a quarterback or they trade up to get a quarterback, I think if they sit at number 15, they're just going to go with an offensive tackle to shore up that offensive line and protect David Johnson. And so that's Mike McGlinchey from Notre Dame, the offensive tackle. I think they'll pick him up. The Ravens, we've been talking about at number 16 that they need wide receiver help because I honestly don't know who they throw the ball to. Like, I don't know a wide receiver on that team right now. And so they'll pick up Calvin Ridley, who is arguably the best wide receiver in the draft. Number 17, the Los Angeles Chargers. They need some defensive help. And so with that, I think they're going to get their edge rusher, the defensive end, Marcus Davenport, to help shore that up and make their defensive line a little bit more angry. The Seahawks, I had them picking offensive tackle in the first mock. I'm going to have them pick offensive tackle in this mock as well, except this is going to be Colton Miller. Again, he's one of the best offensive tackles in the draft, and they consistently need to help out guys like Russell Wilson and whatever mess of a running back by committee that they have. The Cowboys, their defense is kind of a joke now. Everybody can throw on them. I think that if Daron Payne is here at number 19, I think the Cowboys have to go with him. And so I have them picking the defensive tackle, Daron Payne, here, just to shore up that defense, because their offense, they're pretty set. They have the best offensive line in football, or very close to it. They have the Ezekiel Elliott. They have the offensive weapons. Maybe they go tight end here, but I feel like they just have to shore up that defense. It's more of an immediate issue. Number 20, the Lions. I see them going linebacker here with Leighton Vander Esch. I saw him potentially going up a little bit sooner in the draft, but if he's sitting there at linebacker, again, the Lions need to shore up that backfield a little bit more, especially when you have guys like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. And so I think they'll go in linebacker here. The Bengals, this could go either way, but I think they're going to get some linebacker help because that is a definite need for them. Harold Landry, who I've seen all over the first round, I think if he's there, the Bengals will definitely pick him up. The second Bills pick of the first round, I think they'll shore up that defense a little bit more and get Taven Bryan, the defensive tackle. Number 23, the Patriots. This is going to be my risky pick, in that considering they just got rid of some people, they need that secondary is also suspect. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up Josh Jackson. And the reason being is because Josh Jackson, we talked about this as a prospect for the Packers, in that he looked amazing the 14 games that he played, but that's all he played. Is he a one-year wonder? I think Bill Belichick, he takes a risk and he takes a flyer and goes for Jackson. But that being said, the Patriots own the number 23 pick and the 31st pick, so if they really wanted to draft Tom Brady's successor, who knows? Maybe they can make that happen. Number 24, the Panthers, to shore up that offensive line. I see them picking Isaiah Wynn, the offensive guard. Number 25, the Titans. I see them also shoring up that offensive line with James Daniels, as he is arguably one of the best centers in the draft. Between him and Billy Payne, I just see like that's going to make their life a whole lot easier when it comes to their running game and protecting Marcus Mariota, so he doesn't have to throw himself his own touchdowns. Number 26, I see the Falcons going defense here. I've seen in a few mocks that they were potentially going to go wide receiver. But Maurice Hurst, the defensive tackle, I think just makes too much sense here. The guy's a first-round talent, and I can see him going here. Number 27, the Saints. There's, again, some potential rumors that they might trade up and draft Drew Brees' successor, but with him just signing a new 2-year, $50 million contract, I think they'll at least get one more weapon for him and really make a push to get him one more ring. And so I see them getting Cortland Sutton, the wide receiver, just to give him another weapon. The Steelers, I see them shoring up that defense and getting Rashaan Evans, a linebacker. Obviously, after Shazier, we're kind of up in the air on if he is ever going to play again. Hopefully he will. But this is just going to give them an aggressive guy who can go out and potentially fill that role. The Jaguars, I scribbled out a whole bunch of times like what I actually wanted for them. But I feel like they're going to have to go the center here and go a Billy Price here because I think he's the best center available. I had them going tight end with Dallas, but I feel like it just makes too much sense. They need to shore up that offensive line a little bit more and give some running lanes to Fournette. So I think they'll go a Billy Price here. Number 30, the Vikings. They just signed their quarterback $84 million. I would think they want to protect that investment. So I see them going with Will Hernandez, who is the offensive guard, which I think is a steal at number 30. But again, their number one priority is going to be protecting that quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Number 31, they just lost Brandon Cooks. If they still have the pick at 31, I see them going with DJ Moore just to give Tom Brady another offensive weapon to work with and increasing that offensive's potency. And finally, number 32, the Eagles. This is a little bit of a toss-up. I see them potentially going the secondary here. Who knows? They might pull something out of the hat and draft a running back. But I'm going to go with my boy, some guy I'm really high on, and that is cornerback Mike Hughes, the guy who I would love if the Packers wound up picking. And he might slip into the second round, but as I already talked about in the previous prospect video, I think Mike Hughes is definitely a first-round talent, and I would not be surprised if he's the last pick here at the end of the first round. So, that being said, those are my opinions. That's my mock draft. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Would you be happy about this? Do you think I'm so far off? Did I say someone's name wrong again? I really tried this time to go through and make sure I pronunciated correctly. I even went on Google and looked. So, But let me know what you think. And next week, what we'll do is I'm going to attempt to do a 7-round, well, not for everybody, a 7-round Packers mock draft just to kind of get us ready for that because we're getting close. We're getting close. So let me know what you think down in the comments. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossi Comedy, or Tom Grossi Comedy on the Twitter and the Instagram and the Facebook. Also, check out the Patreon, Tom Grossi Comedy. There's some pretty cool rewards for you guys, and I always appreciate the support for the show. You can always check out Packcast, which is this podcast, Packast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, and of course here on the YouTubes. So, also, real quick too, round 2 of the greatest Packers players ever survey is out. It'll be in the description. Over 150 you have already voted. There's one matchup in particular that is incredibly close, and I'm very curious to see how that is going to pan out. So if you haven't voted, you could check that out in the description down below. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll be back next week breaking down some more draft day fun. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack Go.